I want to start with some news that we heard from Jayden Daniels, LSU starting quarterback this past year, that was able to really kind of develop as the year went on. And we saw it early. He was able to run the ball. The quick game was pretty good. The intermediate game was all right. But it wasn't even like he was testing the field vertically. Once he started to do that, we saw this offense really start to transform a la Optimus Prime throughout the year. And LSU continued to get better and better and better. Tough stretch there at the end, but that's just part of the deal. But him coming back, Booty coming back, those two tackles coming back, including Will Campbell. You look on the defensive side, Harold Perkins, Mason Smith, who got hurt in the first game against Florida State. Guys, I'm looking at this LSU roster. It's going to be up there with anybody's as far as depth and talent in multiple positions. If Brian Kelly can continue to mold these egos and keep everybody kind of in line, and we remember seeing Kayshon Boutte early in the year, Florida State on the sidelines pouting, upset. Brian Kelly was able, and that staff was able to get him going later in the year. LSU is a legitimate national title contender in 2023 for me. And guys, I'm looking at that LSU Florida State game. Wow, that's probably going to be the best game to kick off the season with what FSU's done in the portal and Jordan Travis coming back. But David, having played the position, understanding the importance of continuity, understanding the importance of understanding the system, being able to get those new guys in that they've added, talking about LSU with Jayden Daniels, I don't see how Jayden doesn't win the job.
These guys are going to pick up right where they left off. This is huge news. I was really rooting for Coach Ed Orgeron at LSU. I mean, seemed like a perfect fit for that university. But once we started to hear about all the cultural issues that were taking place, and the reason that Max Johnson left and transferred to Texas A&M, clearly the situation became untenable. Brian Kelly comes in, and when you see even that first game against Florida State, when Boutte, wasn't engaged, dropping passes that are hitting him right in the hand, throughout the season becomes more and more engaged, then announce he's coming back. Now Jayden Daniels announces that he's coming back. I think this just speaks to what kind of leader Brian Kelly is and the direction that this program is headed. And when we talk about Jayden Daniels specifically, remember they lost that close one to Florida State at home. First game of the season, we really didn't know, what was going to be the path for these two different teams. Then they reeled off 4 straight wins in a row and got blown out by Tennessee. But throughout that entire time, Jay, you and I were talking, Jayden Daniels still isn't pushing the ball down the field. They still haven't maximized his potential. Then against Florida and Ole Miss and Alabama and Arkansas, that 4-game stretch right there, Jayden Daniels really started to push the ball downfield. They won another, 5 in a row there. The Texas A&M loss, I do believe, was an anomaly. And then look, I don't know if anybody in the country is going to beat Georgia. They put up the best fight they could. And at that point, Jayden Daniels was hurt anyway. Just huge news for LSU coming back. And they're going to be a problem. They're going to be in contention, not only for the West next year, but I think the entire Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, Flaming Dragon, when you look to, and this is something that we've talked about a lot, Nussmeier did a heck of a job coming in the SEC championship game and throwing the ball. What's he going to do? Probably going to hit the transfer portal. If you're Walker Howard, the young stud, they're very excited about, what's he going to do? He still has some time, was able to redshirt last year. So when you look at LSU, is Jayden Daniels the guy for them in 2023?
It has to be. I mean, it has to be. I know Nuts came in against Georgia. Look at that second half when Jayden Daniels went out with an ankle. But you saw Jayden Daniels grow throughout the season. You saw this team come together and start to look actually fluent as an offense. They were beating teams just by with the quarterback run. Realistically, getting Jayden Daniels outside the pocket. And it says a lot about Brian Kelly. I don't see a lot of Notre Dame fans in here talking crap about Brian Kelly. Now, you come in year one in the SEC West and you win it. I know the Georgia game, you didn't look phenomenal, but you played about as well as anybody played against Georgia the entire year. And the one thing I'm looking at is this defense. This secondary is going to get a lot better. You get your D lineman back who was hurt. LSU, we've always said this about LSU, and I'll still believe this. LSU will always have the guys good enough to play with Bama, good enough to play with Georgia. They have absolute freaks walking down in the state of Louisiana, and they always win that state. They're young at receiver. I mean, you're getting Boutte back. Right now, I don't know. We might have the best game of the year week 1 in college football next year.
Yeah, I think they're two legitimate teams that can make the playoff. And I'm interested to see what that line's going to be for LSU Florida State.
Hey, if you like that content, go ahead and subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, String in a Cup. As long as you're listening, we appreciate you. Go subscribe now. It's Cranic Company.